Hello everybody, my name's Nat Sommerville and I'm from Spalding. Today I'm representing Partners in Grain, but I'd like to talk about the group, or part of the group that are up here at the moment. We've been involved with the Growing Leaders project, and to get a good overview of the program I'm going to ask Mandy Pearce to tell us a little bit about it. Now Mandy is the Admin Manager for AgX Alliance. So Mandy, what's the background of the program?
Thanks, Nat. So this project was funded through the federal government's Community Land Care Grant Scheme. We put the application in about this time last year. It was to provide farming system groups with leadership and governance training to improve succession within communities and boards, and in turn improve the sustainability and resilience of agricultural systems across South Australia. So that's a bit of a mouthful, and basically what that meant was that the training we wanted to deliver to these groups would give them a 2-day workshop, a couple of webinars, some one-on-one coaching, a networking event and an exchange program. And so we had that program is running for 10 participants, so yeah, we did have 4 apologies from that group here today.
And Mandy, how successful do you think the program has been?
Very successful so far. The project will run until the end of this calendar year, and so the events we still have to go is our exchange program, which will fire up in the second half of this year, and just the growth that we've seen in the participants and the feedback that we've heard from this group so far has all been really positive, so yeah.
Thanks, Mandy. And Sarah, I'd like you to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about why you applied to do this program.
Thanks, Nat. My name is Sarah Noack and I work for the Heart Field Site Group. And in terms of motivation for wanting to join the program, as it says in the title, we're all here learning about how to be better leaders. So looking around in life and people you meet, you often identify that some people are really great leaders. So this program, what I was hoping to get out of it was understand what makes those people good leaders, and would that sort of leadership style work for me. On a personal level, obviously trying to upskill and learn some new skills and knowledge, but also being able to bring that back into my farming systems group that I work for. Having more confidence and being able to contribute more in terms of group discussion and other things as well.
Thanks, Sarah. Now Flohr is a consultant with the AgriLink Ag Consultants based at Lameroo. Would you be able to tell us what motivated you to do this program?
Sure. I think everyone in the room would have been part of a group that didn't function. And it's sometimes tricky to identify why it doesn't work, and I think one of the main things I got out of it and what motivated me to participate in the workshop was to, I guess, the importance of having a range of different personality types within the group. So you have your extroverted, vocal type of people versus your more attention to detail type of participants, and also I guess the need to gain clarity of your objectives and your goals in your group, and also the importance of ownership within the group, creating an investment for the participants so they actually have ownership, and yeah, if it's their project, then they're more likely to follow through with the learnings and the goals.
Thanks, Lou. Next is Liz Moyle. Liz Moyle is the Partners in Grain Group Coordinator for Pinaroo, and I'm not to confuse that with Lameroo. Liz is also the current State Chair for the Partners in Grain Reference Group. So Liz, why did you do this course?
Thanks, Nat. I had 3 main reasons why I chose to do this course. One of it was most of the time with meetings at home they're not run very effectively, and so I wanted to get some more skills on how to run them effectively and to stop or at least reduce the decision making that happens on the footy fields or in the car park as opposed to actually at the meetings. I also wanted to try and get some ideas on meeting the needs of the committee members who are there not only to be a part of the committee but also want to have a social part of it as well. So trying to combine that professional meeting with having social content in it. And at a local level with Ping, just looking at succession planning of, perhaps the next group coordinator that wants to take on and trying to get some skills in that. So.
And so Liz, what key messages did you take away from the program so far?
Well, so far I haven't really answered any of those ones. I've gone completely on a different track. At our first face-to-face we had a 2-day workshop, and 2 main things that came out of that is that I found I didn't actually know about leadership styles, and there's 6 leadership styles. So, I walked away from that thinking that I needed to fit into one of those styles, and none of them really jumped out at me. So that, I went home and discussed it with a few people and decided, well, you don't need to fit into any one of them. What you need to do is to use the right style for the right appropriate situation. So that was a bit of an eye-opener. And also found out about the 5 stages of group development. And that was a big thing that I could take home is putting a name on where your group is at, and then what direction you go to from there, whether you need to reform, continue as you are, or, at times it's ready to fold, and it's okay to do that, when the demand's there or not there. So, yeah.
Thank you, Liz. Mandy, I just wanted to ask you, what were your key messages you got from the course?
Probably one of the main key messages I got was about learning to analyse our own strengths and weaknesses. Once you've got your head around what your strengths and weaknesses are, it's not necessarily a matter of improving your weaknesses. You don't necessarily need to fix those. You need to acknowledge your strengths, look at the things you do well, and that builds up your confidence and helps you to look at delegating the things that you don't do well. So.
Yes, Mandy, I totally agree with you. And one of my key messages I got was to ensure you have a good mix of personalities in your committees. So you've got the big thinkers and the detailed people to get the action done. Cathy, I'd like to talk to you. Would you be able to introduce yourself and tell the audience what you got from the course?
Sure, Nat. My name's Cathy Paterson. I'm based on the Peninsula at Minnepa. And I was a research officer for SARDI, and I'm now a farmer. So what I got out of the course was the different styles of leaders and how they can affect group dynamics. So to really be aware of what leadership style you take to meetings. But beyond that, I started doing a little bit of a mind map about where else this training will be able to help me. Majority of us live in a regional area, so it's not just the ag industry, so I've got that as big letters, but it's also there are other things in the community that you do. So there's things to do with community, so schools, so kindy, parents and friends, sports clubs, health, progress associations in some towns. There's business, so there's your own farm business, whether you're a consultant and your employees. With the ag industry, there's grower groups, there's Partners in Grain, which I'm involved in. So you've got volunteers and staff involved in both of them. But also relationships, so professional as well as personal. So it's got a wide impact, this training. I think it's excellent.
Thank you, Cathy. Now I'm going to hand over to Lou to close.
Okay, I'm well aware that I am what's standing between you guys and a beer, so I'm just going to take about 5 minutes just to wrap up the session. I'm going to do it using a technique that we learnt in the workshop, and it's called an ORID, not horrid, it's ORID, and it stands for objective, reactive or reflective, interpretive and decisional questions. So I'm going to pose a question to you guys, and you're going to give me some feedback about how you've found the last few sessions today as part of the conference. So I'll just refresh you all on the presentations we had. First up we had Mike McManus from Pearce, and he was followed by Kevin Bodnarat. Is that right? Yeah, let's get my pronunciation right. Followed by Gemma and Chris from the MSF with talking about farm agreements. Sally Fisher talking about the health of our farmers. She was from Primary Producers SA. And lastly, we had Christine McElroy and Brad Moyle. Christine was from McKillop and Brad was from Sanford. So the first question I'd like to pose, and I'd love your feedback on, is what did you learn today? And I'm going to pick on people if I don't get any feedback. So. Yes, Leighton.
I learned about the permit 7520, I think it was, and
So
what that covers.
Leighton's was the 7250 permit. Leighton, sorry. From Mike McManus's talk. Thank you very much. Don't think you can hide back there. Yes, Hammer.
I've learned that we've got 10, or 6 certainly here, and possibly 10 very adaptive leaders in the community now. It sounds like you've got a lot out of this course, which is great.
Thank you. I'll keep the ball rolling. I'll go on to the next question. The second question is the reactive or the reflective. So, I guess so it's not too touchy-feely for you blokes. It's what I guess surprised you or challenged you from today's presentations that we had. I'll give you an example. What I found surprising or challenging was I didn't know that you could get a fine for possessing an unregistered chemical, and that fine could be 35 grand. Like, bloody hell, that's massive, just even for possessing it, not even using it. So, any other surprises or challenges? Yes, Simon.
If you go on tour, you're going to have a really big night out the first night. Not sure if that would probably work.
You think you won't remember?
So allow for a greasy breakfast the next morning, is that what you're saying?
That was suggested on the last night, have it on the first night.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Any other points there? Trent?
I learned that a permit doesn't mean you have to get permission, which I thought was...
That's a really good one. Yeah.
I got a shock on the life for that.
Yeah. So you thought you had to go through the legislative process to get the permit? Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking
That was a real surprise to me.
Yeah. That's good. Our last one, Emma.
I was surprised to hear that farmers that are running large-scale businesses are scared to sign an agreement with the Farming Systems Group.
Yeah. Awesome. The next question is the interpretive question. So I guess what were your main messages from today's presentations? What were your key messages that you'll take home today?
That study tours are all about organisation, planning and making sure that everyone's on board at the beginning.
Those of us involved heavily, I guess, with the NSS group need to know where we stand with public indemnity, liability insurance, and the professional relationships we have with cooperating farmers.
Yeah, awesome. Christine, I really liked your presentation. Is she still here? The addressing the non-ag-related topics at a field day, I thought, or a study tour, I thought that was really good. Finally, the decisional question. So from today, what are you going to take home and do differently on in your businesses or on your properties? And
not tea towels.
Good one.
Yes. Have a farm side agreement with this one here we've been given and shared. Have that with farming cooperatives.
I had the same one.
I suppose from funding side of things, it's how projects we fund integrate farming, rural community health, social, economic and environment.
Yeah. Any other ones to finish the day up? Yes.
Yeah, Bruce Hancock from the land industry, and I'm sort of a bit renowned for running gruelling bus tours, like starting at 6 o'clock in the morning and not getting to the destination until 8 o'clock at night, and having run maybe 6 or 8 workshops on the bus, and people grizzle like hell all the way through it. And I really enjoy it. I get a lot of fun. And the first one of these we ran in '96. And those participants still talk quite dearly about that tour. So, yes, I totally understand your type of tours are very pleasurable and good outcome orientated, but don't lose sight of the ones that are extremely disciplined and intense and focused and active and grueling.
Did they go with you again though, Brett?
Yes, they sign up as they get off the bus.
Several of them had stress disorder.
for that, Pearce. That's great. So that's called the ORID technique. And sorry, Louise.
It's okay. I just thought I had another one because I actually learned a fair bit from Sally Fisher's talk as well. And the key note that really stuck with me was about presenteeism costing 4 times more absenteeism. So sometimes taking that day off that you really feel like you need can actually be quite important to do to recharge and come back and be properly present.
Cool. Cheers. Yeah, so that's the ORID style, and it's just I guess part of the workshops that we had, it was the importance of actually closing a meeting or a workshop really well, and by just doing that little quick summary, it's a really good way of just getting those key points down. Finally, I'd really encourage anyone here and encourage your farmers to undertake leadership training or facilitation training. As we've learned a hell of a lot, and I think there was a study presented at the ABER conference, I think it was last week or the week before, and there's a collaboration with the Uni of Western Australia and Australian Grains, Australian Export Grains Innovation, and they said that farmers that are educated are more profitable. So I think it's important as consultants or as growers to continually upskilling ourselves, and fingers crossed they've shown that you are more profitable. So thank you very much to Sharon and Jeanette for teaching us the wonderful things you've taught us, and also a really big thank you to Mandy for all your admin and organisational skills. So have a beer.
And just adding to what Lou had said, the funding bodies were Caring for Our Country. Yes, and Ag Excellence, fantastic job. A lot of us stepped out of our comfort zone today by doing this presentation, and one thing we learned this morning was to make sure you prepare when you're doing a presentation, so we did this in about half an hour. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Nat, and well done everyone. That was fantastic. It certainly gave me a great insight into what you've learned over the last few months already. And that's actually a fantastic segue into what we're going to do next, which is not to have a beer just yet.